Looking to have your day brightened up? You're in the right place. Welcome to the #Positivity Podcast with Jason D.
Hey guys, thanks so much for tuning into the podcast. My guests today are Liam and Scott Hannon, father-son duo who make and distribute bagged lunches to the homeless population in their hometown of Cambridge, Mass. Guys, thanks so much for coming on the show.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So, Liam, we got to figure out how this got started. First off, how old are you?
10.
10 years old. All right. And back to school now. So what grade are you in?
5th.
5th grade. All right. So tell me what you've been doing. What did you do over the summer?
Well, we started a lunch program for people experiencing homelessness, and we make about 50 or 60 bagged lunches, and we go from Central Square to Harvard Square and hand them out to people that we think are experiencing homelessness. And mostly anyone can walk up, but we don't ask just any random person that might or might not be experiencing homelessness. We don't go up and ask them would you like a lunch? But if we see someone who maybe has a sign or
someone who's interested.
Yeah. Then we will go up and ask them if they want a lunch. And usually when we ask them, they sort of light up, and because they're usually depressed or sad.
And that makes their day, huh? Mm-hmm. So 50 or 60, and that was every week?
Yeah.
Most weeks over the summer? So who made all of the lunches?
Well, me, my dad, my stepmom, and one week I had some friends who helped.
So do you like cooking? Is that something that you like to do, or you just stick to the bag lunches?
Well, we might do some cooking, I don't know, but
We might actually do some in the wintertime. We'd think about doing some soups, some hot soups in a styrofoam cup or something like that.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I'm sure that would be greatly appreciated.
Yeah.
So what gave you the idea to do this? It just popped into your head? What made you think of something like that?
Actually, it was this website it's a treasure hunt website called Brain Chase, and one of the academic challenges was service, and it's one of the weeks it said to helping homeless people, and I just sort of thought of that because there's a lot of people around here who are experiencing homelessness, so I thought, oh, well, why don't we make them lunch?
Yeah, that's a great idea. And, so we're recording today in your apartment. I appreciate you guys welcoming me in. That's awesome. I'm very thankful for you having me. That's very kind of you. And on the way in, it's a city. It's Cambridge. You're going to run across homeless people. So that's pretty neat that you saw something, you saw a problem, you came up with a solution for it, or at least a part of a solution. So not many people, especially people that are 10 years old and in 5th grade, would come up with something like that. You must feel pretty proud. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Dad must be pretty proud of you, huh?
Yeah, I'm very proud of him. He's always been a pretty empathetic kid, and it's always good to see when he does something like this. And it's also makes me proud because he's also inspired a lot of other people now that are looking at this going wow, a 10-year-old is doing this. Why? Well, maybe we should help, and let's help. So we've gotten bands involved now that are helping us with a school supply drive, and we've got a family homeless shelter that's right next door that we're working with. So they found out about us and we got contact with them. So yeah, it's very good. It's inspirational to me to see what he's done and how it's inspired people.
Right. Yeah. it's one of the stories. So I don't know if you heard me talking to your dad earlier, but I was on Facebook and I saw a video clip and I watched it and I said, wow, that's pretty neat. That's a pretty cool thing for anybody to do, to see a 10-year-old kid. And so you use a wagon to get your lunches around. Mm-hmm. Is that correct? Yeah, I saw the wagon full of bagged lunches and you guys out on the streets passing them out. So that's pretty cool. Now, when you guys go out, do you see some of the same people each time you go, or do you meet new people every time?
Sometimes we meet new people, but we see a lot of the same people in the same places.
So they kind of get to know you. Do they know your name? Do you know their names?
Some of them.
Yeah.
Some of them?
I'd say probably he has a couple ones that we're friends with. One is a guy, Kevin, that's right in Harvard Square, and he's an older gentleman, and he's really nice. And it's what's kind of cool about him is he kind of looks out for a lot of the younger kids that are in Harvard Square. Harvard Square is notorious for like homeless youth, punk rockers. A lot of punk rock kids end up migrating there, so he looks out for them and gives out stuff to them on occasion. And we've a couple others that are there all the time that we see. There's especially one gentleman that we don't know if he's homeless, but I think I was telling you about, he's in a wheelchair, and he has a real hard time speaking. We see him all the time, and he's probably one of the ones that like really sets in sometimes because he gets so happy when he sees us, because he's literally sitting out there and people are just walking by him all day long, and we stop and talk with him. And it's one of the reasons why we like having volunteers too, because the more volunteers we have, we can stop and actually talk to people for a little bit instead of just handing them lunch and going, because we have some other help, so somebody can go ahead with some lunches, or it makes it a little bit easier and it gets them to open up and also tell us some of the things that they need.
Right.
We've learned a lot of lessons from talking to them, like stuff that you should give, stuff you shouldn't give. We found out about like hand sanitizer. You think, hey, that'd be great but it's not a good thing to hand out, because some of them that have alcohol problems will drink it. So it becomes or don't hand out this, or don't come on certain days because they're not there on certain days because they get their Social Security checks, so they're not even around like the 1st through the 7th. A lot of them are off either getting their checks, or sometimes they're off doing things with that money that keeps them from being in the same place. So we've learned from talking to a lot of them and becoming friends with them how to help them better too.
Right.
So that's been a positive.
And that's a lot of stuff that actually never crossed my mind either. The thing about the hand sanitizer. It's pretty neat that you guys are learning, as you go. It's not just a one-time event where you do it and maybe it worked, maybe it didn't, but you're able to grow the program that you're doing and make it work better for them.
Yeah.
So that's pretty neat. So what's the biggest group of people that you've had out with you so far?
Let me see.
Doing some quick finger math.
Yeah, like 8.
That's a pretty good sized group.
Yeah, it's been. I think it's now because he's back at school. He spoke in front of his school to everybody, tell him about what he did, because he was also inspired by the school itself this year, and the public libraries did a whole program. It might have been national too. It's called Build a Better World. So the beginning of the summer, it actually started out with a kid protest march from the library over to this library, protesting people not reading. So for everybody to read more. So that. He got to go up with his librarian, and they talked about that. So now kids are starting to find out about it more. Over the summer, a lot of them were away, off at camp, couldn't do things because they were at camp. We were doing it weekdays. So now it's really starting to we've already got people that wanted to help this week and help next week. So we've got a lot of people that are starting to jump on board. Now that he's back in school, it gives the parents a way to get them out too.
Right. So what do your friends think about this?
Well, some of them haven't really said much, but a lot of them think it's really cool, and a lot of them want to help.
That's good. You have a lot of friends that do other things like this, or are you kind of the one taking charge and in the lead for this kind of program?
I think in this program, it's about, Liam kind of took the lead, but we have heard some things of other friends doing stuff, whether it's collect stuff. A couple of his friends actually did a lemonade stand one day to raise money for this. So,
awesome.
I helped.
Yeah, and you helped. They and there's a few of his other friends I know they do with their parents. They do regular things, whether it's go to the animal shelter. They actually did something in school this year where they raised blankets for the animal shelters and stuff like that.
I'm very impressed by you. You're an inspiration probably for a lot more of your friends than you think, and I bet it goes even further to their parents. They see you doing things like that, and they probably want their children to be involved. So you're probably motivating a lot more people than you realize, which is a pretty cool thing. How's it feel when have you seen yourself or heard anything on the news about yourself lately, or in the newspapers?
Well, I was in the Cambridge Chronicle on the website for Good Morning America. I think that was the ABC thing.
ABC News, yeah.
Yeah. Also on Channel 5, and somehow on the Cleveland News.
The Cleveland News, yeah.
Wow.
Hit Cleveland. And you also ABC World News Report which was interesting seeing somebody talk about him with a British accent, which was very.
Oh yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it had a good amount of people that watched it. So
cool. And I heard that you had a couple phone calls recently too.
we did. We had a couple TV shows call us to ask us about possibility of being on. One is the Ellen DeGeneres show, and one is the Harry Connick show. We don't know where it's going to go. Like I was telling you before, because it might just be one producer, sort of working its way up, but just. It's a good feeling for us knowing that we've reached that far, that there's a possibility that, even with just a little bit more work, that we could grow this into something a lot bigger than we even thought it was. I mean, originally this was going to start out as, it was a reason not to go to summer camp was the Brain Chase website, which if parents are out there, I suggest you look into it. It's just called brainchase.com. It's literally one of the best things I've ever bought him. It was $65. And not only did it get him doing service stuff, but it also kept him going in math and typing all summer long. Meanwhile, searching for a treasure that if you find this treasure, you get a $10,000 scholarship and you get
money.
Well, money, you get flown somewhere in the world to get the item, which I wish they had stuff like this when I was a kid because it was pretty amazing.
Right. That's cool.
But yeah, that's.
So, yeah, I mean, obviously Ellen and Harry Connick, they're putting feelers out there, but if you got the attention of some people like that, then it means you're doing good things because they filter through a lot of different stuff, and maybe you'll be on, maybe you won't. But the fact that they took some time to do a little bit of research on you, it shows that you're doing the right things out there. So, what other projects have you done? Have you done anything like this in the past? No. And I saw something that you were gathering school supplies. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Well, we're working the family self-help center called Hildebrand. They help homeless families and they wanted to get like around 400 backpacks filled with school supplies and maybe a gift card for a new school outfit for those 400 kids. And we put boxes in the libraries and they've gotten like a lot of stuff.
Starting to get a lot of supplies there. Does it seem like they're going to reach the goal of 400? You think they're going to make it?
Yes.
We think so, yeah. I think between us and Hildebrand, we were at about 320 last week, and we've since dropped off probably about 30 or 40 more. I know they also had some cash donations that came in that they were going to use then to like start buying some stuff. The cool thing about Hildebrand is they deal with, like he was saying, they deal with family homelessness. So about a third of their families are refugees. A third of their families are domestic violence survivors, and then about a third is mixed. But even out of that last third, a good chunk of them, which threw me for a loop that this is even possible, is people that their kids are sick in the hospitals in Boston. So they're at Dana-Farber, or they're at and they're going to pass away. Their kids are terminally ill, and they're here, and they've been able to do nothing but keep their savings account, get in a car, and come either live in a hotel or live in their car while their child is passing away because they need to keep paying the health insurance. Otherwise, they're going to be even in more trouble afterwards. And that, to me, threw me that's even a thing, that there's people that aren't, your child's passing away, we should be able to find a way to get you a home.
Right.
At least until that.
You should get a pass with something like that to some extent.
And that's what we liked about them, too. It seemed a little bit different. We noticed, like one of the things that we noticed, and this is, people have differences of opinions on homeless people, and some people are like, the ones that we help with the lunches, a lot of them are there because of drug abuse or alcohol or mental illness. And you have a lot of people that they're not really quick to jump on helping that. So once we started doing the family center, those same people that over here were like, well, I don't really want to, I feel like that's perpetuating it. They were all about jumping on and helping here because it's a different story why people ended up there. And it's funny, there is that political nature almost of when to help people, when not. Our attitude is, we're not hurting anybody by giving them lunches.
That's right.
They may have a drug problem, they may have mental illness, they may be giving them lunch and have one day a week or a couple of days. If we'd like to build up to more days a week. But that's not perpetuating anything as far as we're concerned.
Right. Everybody needs to eat.
Yeah. And if they're gonna pass away because of drug abuse, they might as well have a meal in their belly and be a little bit happier. And it also keeps them, I tell people maybe it's a deterrent too, because if somebody's homeless and they're hungry, they're a lot angrier than they are if they're homeless and with a full belly.
Right. That's just another thing to worry about.
Yeah. So it's kind of like a deterrent too. Sometimes I think if you keep them, at least help them out so they're not suffering real bad, they'd be less apt to maybe, cause a crime or get in fights or, and maybe just a little niceness sometimes will get them to think, and hey, maybe I need to step in a different direction.
Yeah, I think probably seeing you guys come around must cheer them up quite a bit. And like you said earlier, that, it kind of brightens their day up. That's pretty neat that you're able to do that on top of giving them something good to eat. So what's in the lunches that you pass out?
Well, it's usually peanut butter and jelly with a snack like chips or something like that, and a fruit and a water.
That sounds like a pretty good lunch. And how often were you doing this over the summer? I know you're back in school now, so it's a little bit less, but were you doing it once a week? How many days were you going out to do it?
I would say once a week, maybe every other week.
We were like 2 weeks on and then a week off, and then we were 2 weeks on, then a week off, and then sort of rotated like that because we went away for a week on a vacation, and then there was a week that we actually ran out of funds. We just couldn't afford to go get the materials, so we had put out a bunch of our money in to start out, and then that got going, and then we started getting a little bit of donations, and then just 1 week it was just we couldn't afford to go do it. So.
Right.
We waited till the funds built back up, and then we headed back out again.
Mm-hmm.
So what are your plans going forward for the funds? You guys have a GoFundMe page set up, right?
We do.
So where could people find that if they wanted to donate some money?
So if you go to GoFundMe and you do a search for Liam's Lunches of Love, you can find it there. You can also go through the Facebook group page. So if you just do a search for Liam's Lunches of Love up the top of Facebook in your search engine, it'll come up as a group. There's also a page for it, so you can go to the page and then get to the group. So on any of those places, there's all the information, but the GoFundMe, and even the GoFundMe page will link you back to the group page. And I just ask people if they want to join the group page, because we have different events that come up. We also try to help other organizations. So if other people have organizations and they want, we will let people know about it through our page to sort of give people a little bit of publicity.
Oh, that's great. So moving forward, obviously, monetary donations help, but you mentioned too that you would like to have volunteers come out so that you could spend a little bit more time each time that you go out talking to people, getting to know them. And that's, honestly, that's probably just as important or more important to them as the bag lunch that you're giving out. Can people meet up with you somewhere? Do you have a meeting spot, or is that something that you'd coordinate through your Facebook or GoFundMe pages? How would you like to go about doing that?
I would probably say through the group page, because where it is intermittent sometimes. That way they can schedule. I'm actually going to, hopefully sooner or later, we're going to pick a bunch of weekends in a row and then put a calendar up so people can see it. That would be the best way to just get in touch with us. So I usually send out a mass message saying, hey, we're going to go out this Sunday, and we have this many people, and because where we build in here too, it doesn't help for like if everybody showed up here, because we can only build, we don't have so much space to build. Hildebrand is actually, we're talking to them about maybe starting to use their kitchen, which would be nice because they have a huge table that we can lay stuff out on. But they can contact us through there. The other thing we're looking for volunteers, though, is people that are more adept at like logistical stuff. So social media marketing. We're trying to get our 501 certification so that way we can take donations from companies and stuff like that. I think the lunch thing is always going to be sort of our smaller project, but we want to kind of expand out. We're actually working with the schools about starting service project clubs. So we don't know if that's going to be completely under us or if that'll be through the schools, but we are looking for any volunteers, anything people can do to help. The people that like to just sit at home and just have like an hour or two to spend on the computer, sometimes those are the most valuable people I can find that have no problem saying, we're just going to go out and go onto like YouTube pages and say, hey, you know what, this is what we're doing around here. Those are the volunteers that we could really use the help with.
Just getting the word out in general.
Yes.
Huh?
One other volunteer, though, is somebody brought this up the other day, is if there's anybody out there that has I don't know if it'd be like an auto body shop or something, we're looking for somebody to sort of build up our cart so it's like we can pull more stuff without it being a lot heavier, because it already gets a little heavy, and maybe something that we have a hot box on it or a cool box or something like that. We've actually been looking around for like one that moves itself, so you just push the button.
Yep.
But we don't even need that, as long as it was light enough to pull the lunches, because if we do start doing soups in the wintertime, we'd like to be able to find a way to keep it.
Absolutely, yeah, that makes sense. So who pulls the cart around? Do you pull the cart or you make Dad pull the cart? Yeah.
I'm the pack mule.
So what else? What else do you like to do? You're 10 years old. You're in 5th grade. You help all these people out. You make bag lunches for homeless people. You're collecting school supplies for people who need them. What do you like to do for yourself? What's fun for you? I know that you do it because you like it, but you like to play games? Do you like to play music? What are you into?
I like to read.
You like to read, all right.
Pokemon.
Yeah.
Pokemon's a big...
Pokemon's pretty crazy these days. We actually have I don't know what you would call it, but out in front of our fire station is one of the spots where people meet to play Pokemon. So there are always cars in the parking lot out front of the fire station, people playing Pokemon. What else?
Minecraft.
Yes.
Minecraft. And he does boxing.
Oh, cool. That's awesome.
They don't do contact yet, but he does boxing with one of the local police officers, student officers over at the Y.
Student officer.
Yeah, well, he goes at school officers.
Oh, like a school resource officer.
Yeah.
All right, gotcha.
Yes, yeah, so he's an interesting guy. You should do a podcast on just him. It's interesting. That's what he wants to do. He's had every chance to take the sergeant's test, and he turned down the sergeant's test because he likes being around the youth and sort of being there for the youth.
That's great.
A good person that will not get a pay increase just because they want to be able because of what good their job does. So.
Absolutely, yeah. Actually, a good friend of mine, Don, is a school resource officer, and same thing. It's people that are into that, and you can tell that they're into it, and their heart is in it, and that's where they want to be. They're not, not looking to move up the ranks necessarily, but that's pretty great.
And it's such an interesting position because you're actually doing good on one side as opposed to being a police officer on the other side where you're just dealing with the problem.
Yep.
So, yeah, I mean, it really is a cool, underappreciated thing, I think.
Absolutely, yeah. So what else? Anything else you want to tell the listeners about? What do you want to be when you grow up? Do you know yet?
Animal rescuer.
Animal rescuer, all right. So your service 100%. It's in you. You want to help people. You want to help animals. That's pretty impressive to know that at 10 years old.
I know one thing that we've talked about before, and maybe we could say is we seem to sometimes forget to say thank you enough to the people that actually donate. We send them out a thank you. We thank them when it comes, but really a lot of what we're doing is we're really facilitating it to make it easy for other people to help. People are so busy sometimes that for them it's easy. Hey, if I can stop and get some school supplies and stuff. So we want to say thank you to those people that that have helped, dropped off supplies. We have people that have just been they just show up and hand us money and say, here you go. No questions asked, and that's makes us feel good because they trust us enough. But also just it would make it possible for us to do what we do without those people because we don't have the resources. We're on a fixed income and stuff like that. So, we wouldn't be able to do that. And it makes it, sometimes we wish we could give some of that good feeling back to those people and let them see what we're doing, walk around. It's hard though. A lot of the people don't, we've talked about them, about videotaping them. And a lot of them don't want to be videotaped. And understandably, it's not, I wouldn't want to either if I was in that position. So
that's a tough thing and you have to respect that. But it's cool to know that you're out there and you're doing it because it's the right thing to do. You're not necessarily, doing it because it's a project. And I know it started as sort of a challenge online, but you can tell that it's something you like to do. It's something that's within you, and you wouldn't keep doing it if it wasn't the kind of person that you are. So that's pretty great. And Scott, you should be very proud to have a son that's growing up like this. So I'll let you guys get back to your day. I really appreciate you being on the show today. It's awesome. Thank you for welcoming me into your home. Guys, I really encourage you to go on and find Liam's Lunches of Love online. Like Scott mentioned earlier, it's on Facebook. They have a GoFundMe. Donations are welcome. If you're out in Cambridge and you'd like to help pass lunches out, highly encourage that. Again, you're doing awesome stuff, Liam. Keep up the good work. And Scott,
Thank you.
Same to you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for listening to the Hashtag Positivity Podcast. Online at hashtagpositivity.org, on Facebook at Hashtag Positivity, and Instagram, the official Hashtag Positivity. If you liked the episode, please rate and review. And remember, positivity is contagious. Sprinkle that madness everywhere. We'll catch you next time.